Hey Aquarius, welcome to June 2020. Looking good for you here at the top. Interesting, actually. Alright, we got the Three of Swords, the Fool, the Tower, the Ten of Cups, and the Three of Pentacles. I mean, in a way, this feels self-explanatory. Like, I don't even know that I need to do much interpretation here, right? Like, just huge, like, right off the bat, we only have 4 cards right here, but, like, these pairings are just so, like, intense and potent and, like, very much about, like, I mean, it's, like, very much, like, enlightenment energy, to be honest. It's, like, you're becoming enlightened this month, Aquarius, I guess is what I'm just trying to tell you. And I think it comes through a bit of pain. I don't want to, like, lie. There's definitely a lot of pain in this. But at the same time, there's also, like, a lot of light coming in. It's just kind of, like, the truth coming in. And the truth is painful. Like, the truth hurts, but the truth also, like, totally is setting you free. And, like, opening things up and making things very clear and giving you a fresh new start and a brand new beginning that, like, looks really good. So, I mean, like, kind of an obvious example is, like, if you've been in an abusive relationship for, like, a long time and you've been suffering and it's been unhappy and, like, you've known that you needed to get out, but it was just kind of a pattern that you were stuck in. And then you find out, like, your partner's cheating on you. That's, like, this Three of Swords in the Tower, right? And it's kind of, like, there's that revelation. Like, there's that, like, proof that, like, your dissatisfaction was grounded in, like, some reality. And you're like, well, I'm out. This is it. I'm done. Like, this is, like, the end of this pain. Like, this pain is just... It's like you're, like, being stabbed in the heart, but, like, in that same moment that you're, like, stabbed in the heart, you're, like, also, like, it's a relief. Because you're like, well, now I know, like, that tension that I've been building that whole time, it's like, now I can really, like, let that illusion crumble for good, and I can be done with it. I can be done with the lies that I've been, like, you know, carrying around for so long. And so I'm not saying this isn't, like, a hugely intense month, or that it isn't, like, rough, or that it isn't, like, hard, but I think that you can feel the silver lining very strongly. I've said this about our current pandemic, like, the more terrible everything gets, the more grateful I am, and I think that's, you're feeling kind of that way too. It's like, the more, like, loss and pain and, like, these old illusions that are going away, the more you're like, wow, like, I really can see so clearly. Because I feel this, like, sun vibe with this Fool card, like, just, like, I can see so clearly, and there's kind of, like, this Fool is, like, there's, like, a gaiety and, like, a joie de vivre or whatever. It's kind of like when you've been in, like, it's also kind of like this, like, you've been living, like, your life has been in black and white and gray for so long, and now all of a sudden, like, things are in Technicolor, right? It's just this very sharp, like, contrast and, like, shift that, like, it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of, like, also, like, and I said before, it's, like, enlightenment, like, waking up from the Matrix, kind of, right? Like, it's really intense, and it's really much, as like, Pleasantville, right? Pleasantville is the movie that comes to mind, and that was, like, all about them, like, realizing how much they had been repressing, and, like, how they had been lying to themselves about who they really were, and, like, they're freeing themselves from those lies and those illusions and those things that cause so much pain. They're, like, facing the pain and, like, letting it transform them so that they can change into who they really are, which is, like, again, this Fool, like, the Fool is, like, she's going off to, like, really kind of strike out on her own, and, like, with the Ten of Cups, it's, like, this is what the journey is really for, is this, like, happiness and, like, the truth and the peace and the joy and the, like, rainbows and the, like, little kids, and, I mean, not that there have to be little kids involved per se, but, like, the childlike kind of enjoyment of life and, like, the playing and the, like, having fun and being silly and making that a focus. Like, it just really feels so much like you're being set free from this prison, the tower, and, like, yeah. So, I just kind of, like, feel like these 4 cards are, like, enough, honestly, for you to deal with this month. Like, I don't even know that I'm going to pull more cards, just because I think it's, like, you have a lot to process this month. We got the 3 of Pentacles as well. And this, to me, feels like, okay, you are absolutely kind of stepping up into, like, who you really are with this Fool. Like, you're just kind of, like, taking the chance on finding out who you are, right? I think it's almost like you, like, in your, like, kind of, like, earth-shattering moment, you were like, wow, like, I've been lying to myself all these years. There's just, like, to go back to this. Like, you've been like, oh, wow, maybe, like, I've been lying to myself all these years. I mean, it could be, like, even so far as, like, this whole time I thought I was straight, like, questioning your sexuality or something. Like, I don't know. Probably not everyone, I'm sure, is questioning their sexuality, not all Aquariuses, but it could be something like that, too. Like, it just was, like, maybe, like, part of your identity that you just, like, conditioned yourself out of, like, understanding. You're, like, realizing, like, wow, and maybe that's where some of the pain is coming from, too, is, like, the lying to yourself all these years, or not feeling, I don't know, it just really feels like some karmic cycle is, like, ending and crumbling, and, like, from that, there is pain with seeing the truth, but that's leading to this new, I'm repeating myself, but, like, why am I repeating myself? Because it feels like this is so much a part of, like, this moment is a huge shift for the rest of your life. Like, there's your life, June 2020, and then there's, you know, there's the before and after. Like, this is a really big pivot and a big shift month for you, and, like, maybe how you, like, understand and, like, perceive reality and, like, participate in it. So, 3 of Pentacles, I just feel like this is a call for, like, calling on your teams, like, maybe spirit teams, or, like, really kind of, like, cultivating relationships with, like, maybe what you would consider, one would consider spirit guides, or, like, people in your life, like, who you can, like, partner with and, like, collaborate with. And I think it's also really about learning how to collaborate, and, like, how to, like, let there be that give and take and flow and, like, artistic process of, like, kind of the meeting of minds in the middle about, like, how to do or accomplish some new thing. And this might involve also getting to know new people or, like, a new community, because you are having such a radical shift that this is maybe you finding your people who you're going to work with for the rest of your life. And it's, like, the beginnings of all these beautiful, like, prosperous, like, business partnership relationships. And I think that's definitely coming off of this Fool energy of you stepping into this unknown and stepping into, like, the whatever, the void in a way, because you're like, wow, like, I just, my previous reality crumbled and caused me heartbreak and pain, and no longer is, like, really part of, like, how I even engage with the world. So now I'm moving towards this energy of, like, my abundance and my happiness, and, like, just what a good life really means to me. Like, letting go of, like, maybe the capitalist hustle, for example, and, like, letting go of that job or whatever that sucked, and just being like, you know, I just couldn't, it was untenable. I couldn't go on that way any longer. And that's okay. I think there's more relief than not, but just acknowledging that it's intense, and that you are definitely, it's kind of like, also, it's like this, it's, in the Shawshank Redemption, when he escapes from prison, he has to go under the tunnel, through the sewer, through all the shit, you know, to get out of that bad trap. So I feel like that's kind of what is happening, is, like, you're moving through that underground sludge shit so that you can come to here. And then when you get here, it's, like, this brand new beginning, and, like, these new kind of, like, foundations and, like, teamworks that are going to build that foundation with you. It's, like, and maybe even a new cast of characters coming in. maybe some old characters that you weren't expecting. Like, but I feel like things are kind of being revamped, and there's like something's like fresh and new and different, and like it's like, yeah. I mean, like, we're all kind of going through some version of this collectively on some level, but for you, it's very much pronounced. Also, since you're an alien, for example, maybe it's you're finding out that you're an alien, and then you're like, what? Like, my idea of who I am is like, I don't believe this. This feels fake almost. But it's like really good because it's like, well, now I can be who I really am and like figure out how I work and find kind of like what is true for me instead of what I've been lying to myself about all these years. Because as I said, there was like something about identity in this too for you. Alrighty. Crazy. I love it. And I'll see you again in July. Bye.